Hi, I'm Arun Singh. With me is Shantanu Naidu, founder of Goodfellows, a platform which is offering companionship for senior citizens. A very warm welcome to you, Shantanu. First of all, who is your target group? What are you trying to do here?
My target group is quite broad, actually. It's anyone 60 and above who either lives alone because of different circumstances, like families moving abroad or families having passed on, or even families being present in the city but not being able to engage because of the 2022 work culture, which is extremely hectic and keeps you very occupied. And there's no one to really blame in that situation. But that's broadly the target group. But it's not so defined that if there's a 58-year-old, 55-year-old, that we don't help them.
Shantanu, you are 28 years old yourself. And how did you come up with this idea where you wanted to do something for senior citizens?
I think it was a general sense of affinity I've always had towards the elders. I think it's their moment-to-moment living, the way they appreciate things because they've been through so much, and a general sense of innocence that they have, which really makes me gravitate towards them. That in combination with the fact that through the pandemic, I had so many elderly neighbors in the older part of town here in Bombay who have been living here for decades but don't have any family or heirs. I sort of connected with them, understood that a daily conversation or just spending time with them, a simple companionship also made a huge difference in their lives.
Sure.
That combined with the fact that I've been sharing an intergenerational friendship of sorts with my mentor of sorts, Mr. Tata, all these three things combined, I guess, sort of culminated into solving the problem of 15 million elders in India, according to the 2018 census, who live alone by themselves.
So yeah, Shantanu is a general manager at Mr. Tata's office and is the fifth generation of his family to work in the Tata group. Shantanu, what are, let's say, three key lessons that you've picked from Mr. Tata in your journey with him?
Honestly, I've talked a lot about these anyways, but I think it's the most important one is to put yourself in other people's shoes. The second thing is to, when you're doing good, you shouldn't really be thinking about the returns that you get. And the third is the more practical one, is to not call anyone after 9 p.m. outside of office hours. So all of them very valuable.
Have you been following all of these?
Oh, yes. As to the best of my possible capabilities, yes.
Okay. And what is the subscription model like for Goodfellows? Like the senior citizens are paying and the young ones who are on the platform are getting paid, right?
That's correct. That's pretty much it. I wish it wasn't the case, but in order to sustain a model where the young graduates who I'm employing and are not doing part-time work, but are full-time employees who let go of their own career trajectories to be able to work for Goodfellows as a good fellow because of their general sensitivity towards the elders, this is their full-time job. So for me to be able to give them at least close to industry standard salaries and dignified pay so that they don't have to worry about that aspect and can give their complete attention to the elders, we have a subscription model. Having said that, the fees are very affordable in the sense of pensioners who have very, very limited spending capabilities, and we are very much aware of that. So, however, the first month is without any liabilities because I want people to experience this. I want the seniors to experience this without worrying about anything at all. And if they feel that this is changing the quality of life and adding value, then and only then I encourage them to get onto the subscription model, which we've had 100% conversion rate so far from the freemium to
what this subscription fees would be?
So I wouldn't mention a number now because it's a rapidly evolving number. It's extremely personalized, but rest assured it's in the early thousands, and it's per month. So it's not, it's like you can call your Goodfellow anytime during that month. We also throw in an event where all the Goodfellows and the grandparents gather together, and any emergencies you have, even outside of our work hours, we basically do everything grandkids too. So we don't want to make it transactional. The fees are just to sustain it. And in terms of responsibilities and timings, we completely accommodate what the seniors want and don't dictate ourselves what we can do.
Sure. Shantanu, I also want you to give an insight into an old person's mind, into a senior citizen's mind who signed up for this. Like what brought them to join hands with you?
I think companionship means different things to different people, but it means a lot to the seniors themselves. And it is very black and white and simple. It's not very complicated. And if I had to dilute and boil down all sorts of companionship to a single element, it would be time. They just want time, your time, to be able to speak to you, listen to you, or have someone in the room with you, which increasingly is becoming much difficult for the demographic. So inside their minds, a person visiting frequently, even if not every day, is something that they start looking forward to, the bond and the authenticity of the person, because we send the same person every time once they've bonded. We don't keep rotating. So they treat them like their grandparents. It's not just us treating them like grandparents. They themselves treat us like grandkids, and they say it out loud. And
can you mention a few activities that these companions can do together? I read few examples, like they can go to a movie, they can go to a cafe.
Absolutely, yeah. It's everything a grandkid would do. But if I had to list a few that we've done so far, it's something as simple as playing carom with them, reading out the newspaper because they have cataract, but they still like to hear the news. Going on walks with them when they had lost their confidence to go on walks, or just sitting around chit-chatting, or even something as simple as sitting in the room and doing your own thing, but just knowing that the other person is there, spending time with you. So like I said, companionship is a spectrum, and different people want different things.
Right. And what has been your favorite activity to do with Mr. Tata? You've spent a lot of time with him, and of course you've drawn inspiration from your bond with him. What is, or a number of activities, if you can mention, that you like to do with Mr. Tata?
I don't know. It's very diverse. There's no particular thing that stands out. It's always fun to drive him. That's always nice. I have a couple of songs that I play for him in the car, and we just sort of drive around, and his observation skill and everything is very nice. So it's nice to just have random conversations with him. That, and when the sun is out, it's always a nice time to have a chit chat with them. Because,
and what kind of music is being played in the car then?
I wouldn't like to share that, because he has, being a very reclusive personality himself, I don't know if he would appreciate me sharing that with other people. So I would leave that unanswered.
Okay. Now your platform brings these young ones together with senior citizens, but then I think it also requires a lot of empathy and a little bit of training as well. Are you training these young ones?
I am training them, but I'm making sure that they have the raw material to sort of have that sensitivity. So we have almost a 1% conversion rate almost over the last 2-3 months. We've had 600 applicants to be Goodfellows, and we've converted 6. And that is not something we want to boast about, but that is just a byproduct of the fact of the stringent process of recruiting we have based on emotional intelligence, sensitivity towards elders, and a general sense of empathy. And that involves our own in-house psychometric tests that our psychologists have designed, as well as several rounds of personal interviews and a month-long probation where we want to see them in action, because they have to put the money where their mouth is. So after all of that, it's the only situation where we recruit them. After we've recruited them, of course, there are training programs. There's the emergency training, CPR training, and a general training about informing them about the nuances of this particular generation to help them sort of build that friendship more organically. But we don't train them to the point where this is how you talk and this is what you say.
Okay.
That would kill the purpose of being authentic and original. And we don't want to fabricate friendships. We just want to be authentic.
Sure. And I was just trying to think from a senior citizen's perspective. And, there would be some security concerns as well. Are you tackling that?
100%. And apart from the 7 rounds of interviews and checks that I mentioned, there are more technical checks, of course. There's police background checks, third-party agency checks, previous employment checks, bona fide checks, as well as the fact that we involve the grandparents' family members in the process. So we do a daily debrief of what the Goodfellow did, daily documentation, pictures. So there is accountability there. So daily debrief with the Goodfellows as well as the grandparents, because both their safeties are important.
Lastly, what is your end goal with this, with Goodfellows? Where do you want to take it?
I think I am just happy for it to sustain itself. I am not trying to convert this into a unicorn, or nobody's going to earn millions from it. But whatever and however much we grow will be plowed back into the organization, which means that the number of people we can reach keeps growing. But the end goal principally is to have an army of Goodfellows that can cater to this social issue that we are increasingly facing today. That's the only takeaway.
Last question, since Mr. Tata has invested in it, is he happy with the efforts you're taking or how it's shaping up?
He's happy so far, but he's watching me. His investments come with a certain level of parental scrutiny, if I might say. And I appreciate that because when I thanked him for coming to the launch and sort of helping us out with the team with the investment, he said, let's make something of this, which means he sort of wants to see this grow. And we intend to fully fulfill that promise.
Sure. Congratulations on Goodfellows. Shantanu, it was lovely talking to you and all the very best.
Thank you, Arun. Thank you so much.
Thank you. With that, we've
Have a
come
nice
to an
day.
end of this conversation, but news continues on the other side. Keep watching NDTV 24/7.